Okay, guys, so what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about some of the new advancements using Adobe's ACR for overcoming issues in infrared imagery. Especially for the Nikon users, so many of the Nikon cameras typically don't white balance correctly in camera or in Adobe. Now, the Adobe portion of that is not specific to Nikon. There are lots of cameras that are outside of the range of what Adobe says is acceptable for white balance. And when Adobe sees those files, it says to itself, we're sending this back to mama. Okay, and it's going to just take whatever you had as a white balance, even if the camera did it, and move it back up to 5,000 degrees. All right, so it's going to take that wonderful white balanced image out of the camera. It's going to turn it ultra bright red, almost pink from beginning to end, okay? But since then, everybody has been using DNG profiles to get past the problem of Adobe changing the white balance or the camera not white balancing, period. And it's always best to have a camera that will white balance. That's why I always try and suggest cameras to people that are going to go out and do a new conversion, like you, Dwayne, to go with a camera body that has a 100% success rate of getting a white balance regardless of what conversion you do. Okay. And the DNG, it just plain works. Sometimes people have issues creating that DNG profile. And all you're able to do in Adobe's ACR, whether you did it in Lightroom or Photoshop, if you had a valid DNG profile, it would allow you to go into ACR, see the image as it was supposed to look, which means the histogram's correct. It means the exposure's as it was shot, okay? And then you can do your basic tonal editing. You know, you can adjust the brightness, the contrast. There's some HDR things you can do too. Bringing up shadows or bringing down highlights. So there's just so many things that we can do. And then along came a company called F64 Elite. And it's a gentleman by the name of Blake runs this company, along with a code writer and an avid infrared shooter in France, and his name's Tony. And you'll see Blake and Tony on the infrared Facebook group, the infrared photography Facebook group. You'll see them there. They also have their own Facebook group too. Okay, so there's just for the first time in 10 years or longer, a company has come out with new improved software. They call it the CLIR infrared editing panel. And it's really, really good. Now, they target it at beginners that don't know anything about it. And there is some stuff in there that is specifically designed for beginners. They have a series of 6 processing buttons where you can press them and it'll take you through a complete conversion from one end to the other. Now, you may not like it, but it's going to teach you about the process, and it's going to give you a starting point for going in and editing on your own. But the other thing about it is they came out with this intense video course that goes through every function of the Clear package, and it's very, very good. But it's one of those kind of courses that you have to run 5 minutes of, absorb what it's doing, pause it, jump in to Photoshop, and try what you've just seen. And you have to do repeat, so that you memorize what it is. So there is a learning curve to it. But thankfully, their courses cover everything, and there's a lot of videos in it. Okay. Hopefully here and on my workshops, we will simplify this process of learning. Okay. But having said that, let's do some examples of this, okay? So what I'm going to do is, if you guys will go down and you will click on my image in the lower right-hand corner, so that I am locked onto your screen, regardless if you talk. My screen won't go away, because we don't want to lose the video feed when I screen share, okay? And here we go. You have to ignore my doggie. She isn't going to listen to me. She is pissed at me. Okay. So you got my screen?
I do.
You're good.
Okay. All right, good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up and I'm just going to show you some images real quick. I'm going to start Adobe Bridge. All right. And I'm going to show you, let's go here into the capture directory. All right. And we're going to go get some infrared images right off of the new Canon RP. Okay, now these files, all right, actually I included this file in that package that I put up on Dropbox for you, okay?
Right.
So these are all properly white balanced in the camera, okay? And I find that the camera is just amazing for getting solid white balances each and every time. But we're going to go with this because it's got a bit of plant life. It's got the sky, and it doesn't look bad. The white balance on this isn't too bad in Photoshop. This is one of those cameras that Photoshop says, okay, I'm not going to choke on the white balance that the camera gives us. All right. And the good test of a white balance is a bronze colored sky and monochromatic plants with a slight blue tint. All right. So I'm just going to open this file. I'm going to send it to Camera Raw, okay, in Photoshop or Lightroom. It doesn't make a bit of a difference. And this is what that file looks like, okay? And this is with the white balance applied as given in the camera. So if there wasn't a better advertising remark to make for that EOS RP, this is it. This is the thing you want to say, okay? Now, I want you to look here. Upper right-hand corner here, we have something here called white balance as shot. And then we have something called profile. Profiles where the DNG profiles go, okay? And I'm just going to jump down. I'm going to go get that DNG profile because I'm not really using it. It's going to be down here. Let's see here. Yeah, these apparently, this is the wrong nanometer. I wonder what, maybe, oh, here we go. Okay, these are I had the profiles in a different directory. So this is the Canon EOS RP, and I did a DNG profile for each of the infrared filters I've tested. I've tested the 590, the 665, the 720, and the 850, okay? So I'm going to click on the 665 because that's what this is. And I'm going to say close. And now you notice the difference in the before and after on this?
Mm-hmm.
We lost the majority of that red. So by creating this DNG profile and giving it to Adobe to be able to access, we get a much, much better white balanced image. Okay. It's more accurate, it's fast, it's easy, and it's accurate. Okay. Now we're not going to pay any attention to the temperature and the tint because this profile modifies all of this. Okay. I'm going to show you how to make these profiles, but once we have the profile, then we can do things like we can go in and we can adjust the exposure. We can look at the highlights. We can bring the highlights up or down, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it from 0. I'm going to go down on it to just darken the plants a bit, adjust the shadows, and it typically will adjust these to bring out dark areas like under the docks. But what I'm looking at is I'm looking at the blacks here and the boat name, and I'm trying to generate deeper blacks there, okay, to give me better overall contrasts of the image. Okay, and then we can add a bit of clarity and see what that's doing to the sky. And then and I know you're going to find this strange, especially you, Richard. The dehaze control adds incredible image contrast. Do you see this? The dehaze is actually adding blue to the image. So this is what's going to take an amazing amount of work out of your post-processing simply by bringing the dehaze up. I mean, this image to this image, there's a big difference there, don't you think?
I do.
Okay.
That looks good.
So now when I'm done here, what we would have done in the past, and make sure down here at the bottom of your ACR converter, see this line here? You have to set this up once. Okay, you're going to change the color space to Adobe RGB 1998. It came set as sRGB, which is a much narrower color gamut, and we don't want that, okay? What we want is Adobe RGB 1998. We set this once, we go over and we change our depth, which defaults at 8. We're going to change it to 16, and we're going to go here and we're going to change our resolution to 300. No other changes. And once we say OK, that's written permanently into the setup of Adobe RAW. You never have to do this again, okay? So now I would go in and I would click on Open the Image, and it's going to drop it into Photoshop. And Dwayne, Photoshop is where you need to be editing.
I do all my editing in, or try to do all my editing in Photoshop.
Okay. So here it pops in. Okay. And now we can do our editing. And, I would bring up the clear panel, and I would either use the chromography swap in the past, which I have here. See, here it is. Let's just run that real quick. We'll run that, and I'll show you. All right, here it is. And then we go in to master, we change it to cyan, and then we adjust the blues to the point that we instead of having that green blue sky, we get a blue sky. Okay. And then we would say, okay, now we have our basic channel swap. Okay. So that's done. I'm going to shrink that down and turn it off. And I'm going to bring up the infrared panel from Clear. Now, okay, they have 6 default swaps here. And we can go in and we can play with those. So there's swap 1. Okay, not a bad job, is it? Let's look at swap 2. That's not bad. Swap 3. That's a little bit brighter.
A little too cool.
A little bit too cool. Swap 4. A little bit greenish in the sky. Swap 5. And swap 6. Okay, and that's going to apply it. Okay. So you can see it doing the editing. Now it's slow because we're streaming video, so it slows my computer down. And I don't particularly care for that, so I will delete that and I will go back to swap 1 or 2. Okay. And then we have things like the Channel Mixer Pro and all of these other advanced functionality built into Clear. For folks that don't understand any of this processing, if I go in here and I delete the channel swap and go back to just the raw image with the profile applied, they have these infrared fast processings, and these are different than these. If I click on one of these, it's going to do a whole bunch of stuff. It's going to do channel swap. It's doing infrared tones adjustments, contrasts, colors. Okay, so it did all of this, and it did all of the false color all the way down to here. Okay.
Lord.
So see, it did a lot, didn't it? All right, so that was number 1. Let's try number 3 and see what it does. Now that's a little bit more to my liking. But you see how this simplifies it? It takes us through all of these steps. It took us through. Let me move this over so you can see the entire menu. We did some adjustments. We did auto color, auto contrast, auto levels, and we did IR swap number 3. Okay. So let's delete this and let's do those things. All right, let's do IR swap number 3. Let's do auto levels, auto contrast, and auto color. And it takes us right back to that point, see?
Huh.
But this automates it for people that don't have any inkling as to editing at this point, just to get them going. All right, and there's a zillion other things in here, really, really crazy advanced stuff. Let's go up here to let's run that channel swap again. All right, then we'll go up into transform, and I'm going to run something called Color Twister. Now, Color Twister can bring your computer to its knees for a moment. It's doing a whole bunch of stuff. It's measuring, it's masking, it's looking at stuff in that image. And then plus on top of everything else, we're live video streaming, so that's going to slow this process down even more. So let's let this finish. I just want to give you a taste of what this mixer does. Okay, here we go. The Color Twister. Now, what it does is it's breaking down our colors into channels: red, yellows, greens, cyans, blues, magentas. Okay? And this is going to create a mask based on colors. So let's go in and let's play with the yellows. Let's look at the plants and watch as I move the color slider. We're not getting a lot of change there, so let's go back to 0. And let's look at some of the others. Let's play with the reds. See, this is kind of a guesswork because we don't really know at this point what colors are making up these plants. You know what I'm saying? Now we're getting some change in the plants. All right. Let's go to cyans. Let's look at that sky. See how it's separating the blues out? And we're changing just that sky. So when we find something that we like, by moving the tone slider, we're adding the range that it can do, okay? I want to go back to this tone here on the yellows, and I want to play with those yellows again because I ought to be able to grab those yellows. But the issue here is figuring out what colors are making up those plants. And I'm just not finding it. So we're gonna bypass that. I did show you how we could select the blues. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this. This is just a preview. But we could select OK. And then we could, had we selected these yellows and changed them to some other color, then we could go down here and we could say create a mask on that level. All right. And then we would invert that mask by going back up to the clear, holding down the shift key and clicking on mask on off with the shift key down. Now we've created a mask, and now we can go in and we could select a brush, and with colors we could paint over these plants simply by had we selected them in the mask. We could go down and we could select a color. Shrink that down, go down here to the colors, and then had the mask been selected, we could overpaint these and just colorify certain areas very easily. We'll jump into this again later. This was just to show you some of the functionality of this, and obviously my color selection on these plants isn't working well, but you did see how it worked in the sky. It worked very, very well. Okay. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. We're done with this image. So we're going to shrink that down. I'm going to quit Photoshop. And I am going to, we are going to do something. Oh, and Photoshop's intelligent. It says you applied a DNG profile to this, and it's going to show you that here. See where it says here there are adjustments made?
Yes.
All right, let's open another one. All right, and I'm going to send it to Camera Raw. Now, this is how we make a DNG profile the easy way. We simply open it in the RAW converter, and we go down here to Save Image. Okay. And we're going to I'm going to save it in my desktop. So there it is. And I'm just going to call this EOS RP 665 nanometer. And then we're going to save it as a DNG. And I'm going to click on Save. Okay, I'm going to get out of this. We are done with that. And now on my desktop, there it is. See it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to shrink bridge down. Now here is how we build the DNG profile. This is so simple. In that directory that I gave you, you are going to find some files. Okay. Let's see here. Do I still have those here? Nope. We'll just go here and we'll grab them. This is the same thing. Okay. Under supporting docs, we have the DNG data. So we're going to open this so you can see that. You guys are both PC users, right?
I am.
I'm a Mac.
Okay, well, life is going to be easier for you as a Mac. So, Richard, this is locations to export the DNG profile for PC users. Once you create the DNG profile on your desktop, you're just going to copy it here. All
No
right.
problem.
Okay. All you have to do is put your username in, what your account's listed at on your computer. All right. For Mac users, it's different. This will export it directly to the proper place. So I'm going to open, okay, my DNG, and I'm going to go to my desktop, because that's where it's at. There it is, EOS RP665, okay?
Okay.
Up she pops. Okay. And what I'm going to, okay. Well, that didn't work well. Hold on a second. I opened that in preview. This other document that I opened for you guys, this shows you one of the controls that we have to do for making the DNG profile, okay? So let me open this is the profile editor. Okay, so we're open. I'm going to do File, Open DNG Image. It's going to go to the desktop. Okay. There's the profile, or the DNG file. I'm going to open it. Up she pops, okay? Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go in under Tone Curve. We're going to put a selection point right in the center here. It doesn't have to be accurate, and we're going to change these numbers. This is where this file comes in. We're going to change the in to 126, and we're going to change the out to 116. Okay. Okay, so now it's already changed this file. So now we're going to go up here, and we're going to go to Color Matrix, and we're going to take the temperature, and we're going to move it all the way down to 0. We're not going to do anything else. Okay, and we're going to File, Export, and now you're going to want to give it an intelligent name. Okay, so this is Canon EOS RP. It picks that up out of the EXIF data. 665 nanometers. Okay, you need to know that. And I'm just going to, instead of having it send to my camera profiles, which is the correct directory, by the way, on the Mac.
Okay.
I'm going to send it to my desktop. I'm going to save it. It says it's exported. Okay. And now I'm going to attempt to quit the profiler. Don't save the recipes. A lot of times it won't shut down. This is a 2011 piece of software. Okay. So it is here now, and it is saved under Files, Documents, Actions, Others. There it is. There it is. Canon EOS RP665. Richard, this is what you would move into that directory.
No problem.
And this is what it looks like, say. Okay. So once that's there, okay, let's go. We don't want that. I'm going to go back to Bridge. I'm going to open this file in Camera Raw. And now we would go up here to Profile, and we would go to Browse. Now, see when I move my mouse over, they see the star that shows up on the left?
Mm-hmm.
You can save that to your favorites, okay, by clicking on it. And now it's going to be in your favorites, okay? And once we've selected this, we would say close, do our editing, and then send it to Photoshop. But there's something else. Remember I said that Clear gave us the ability to do your channel swap with the raw data?
Yep.
Let me go down to the see here, RP665, channel swap 1, channel swap 2. And I'm doing this with the raw data now, and Richard will tell you how important that is. Okay? And we just go through the channel swaps until we find one that we like. I like that one. Okay? So we're still in ACR. We're still in the raw converter. You can now adjust the amount that this channel swap profile has on your image. Okay? And it's going to suggest something basically in the middle. Okay, somewhere around there. Okay, you can adjust the tints. Okay. All right. We can adjust the exposure up and down. We'll play with that tint again. Let me bring the exposure back up. Right in there is good. Bring the exposure down a wee bit. Look at my highlights. See how I'm bringing out highlights in the plants?
Mm-hmm.
But what we really got to watch is the white on the boats. That's what we're looking at for. The other stuff we can recover. We got to be the boats. Shadows. Now I can bring out the sky and under the water a bit. All right. Now we go right back into the clarity again. Bring in a little micro contrast color sharpening and the dehaze. Now watch what this dehaze does. Look at the difference. Just looking at the masks of the shrimpers, okay? Watch the masks as I move this dehaze back and forth. See how they leap off the image? It's almost three-dimensional, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay. Then we got other things that we want to edit in the raw converter. We see this little lens here.
Before you go there,
Yes.
if you look up at your histogram,
Yes.
would you want to bring your exposure down just a touch? On the right.
I would, but I'm not going to because I am looking at the blue here. This is what I'm looking at, okay? I don't care that it's slightly off the edge here, but if you look, if I put the area, stop across the image, on the whites, the blue actually isn't touching the edge like it is down here in the blacks. And it's not actually touching it in the blacks either.
Okay.
All right. But we're going to go to the lenses here. And we're going to turn on remove aberrations and enable profiles. See the change that does on the image?
Oh, yeah.
Now, I've already done this. See, it's Canon and it's got my lens. You guys are going to need to select here first to get to these, okay?
Mine picks it up automatically pretty much.
Yeah, well, this is supposed to pick it up automatically, but other people's cameras I've been using, it hasn't been. All right. So now I'm going to open the image into Photoshop. See, it applied the profile down here in Bridge too. See, everything talks to everything. Okay. So here we are. it's already a good infrared image. We haven't even edited yet in Photoshop. All of this was done in RAW. This is a huge, huge deal. Okay, but let's go into the IR panel and let's look at some of these things. Now we're not going to be using these. Now we've done all of this. All right, but we may want to look at auto levels. I didn't care for that. That added a little too much green for me. Auto contrast. That didn't seem to do much of anything. And auto color. This one, yes, that one usually has the biggest effect. Here's before and after.
We already bumped up the contrast,
Yeah.
especially with the dehaze.
Yeah, see, I don't need it, so, but you should try it. Okay, now let's go back into this image in the color twister. And the color twister is just one of many tools for editing. All right. We need a little theme song while it's crunching. And like I said, there we go. Now, let's look at the magentas. Oh, yeah, look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We can do all kinds of colors here now. Let's look at the reds. What do the reds do? It does a little, but not nearly as much. So we're not going to use the reds. I'm going to disable the reds, okay? We're going to go back to the magentas. And I am going to choose a base color that I like, and I'm going to take the tones and move it up. This just adds more criteria for the selection. Now notice we have some pinks here, we have some oranges, we have some yellows. Okay, let's add saturation and see what this does. A little bit goes a long way, doesn't it?
It sure does.
Okay, luminosity. This is just going to darken the changes to those colors that we've made. See? Now, the thing about this is we have created a mask just on these colors based on this one single panel. Okay? And we can see before and after, but I'm going to say, okay, it's going to apply this. Now I'm going to go down and I'm going to choose the quick mask. There it is. I am going to select a brush just because I can. We don't need to. And I'm going to start the clear panel again. And I'm going to go down here to where it says mask on and off. I'm going to hold the shift key, click on that. And now I've got my brush, okay? And see, we can go and we can subtly change these things. Let's shrink that down so that we can get some of these others. All right, provided that we're in the same color range. This individual plant editing, this is very powerful, and there are multiple ways to do that in here, okay? Heck, I mean, there are other panels in here. Do you want a softer image? Okay, do we want to vignette? Do we want to add fog, shallow depth of field? Let's add a glow to it. I don't personally use this kind of thing, but it's an interesting effect. Okay, see how it softened everything? We're no longer clear. If I turn off preview, See the difference?
Mm-hmm.
It gives it a more ethereal, and then you can change the amount and the level of the blur. You can make it greater effect or less effect. I mean, it gives you all kinds of function. Maybe just a wee little bit of glow, or not. Okay, I'm going to say not. We're going to cancel that. But this is just one of many, 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 many tools for generating and changing colors and softnesses. We can add, like I said, vignettes, depth of field. There's gradient tools here for adding gradients. There's just a lot of tools here. There are black and white tools. I still think the sky has a little too much green in it. I could go in and I could, let's go back to the infrared panel. I could run Color Twister one more time. And then we could do the sky. Okay, we could take some green out of that sky. Now, while this is doing this, those swap profiles you saw me do that allowed us to do the channel swap in the raw converter, there, you have to set those up. You have to do that. They give you those 6 individual swaps. There, that's a little bit better blue. Grab more of it, play with the saturation a bit. See, all of the things that we're doing here, we've created a mask, okay, to do this. And we could go in and we could, now that we have this, see, there's no mask there right now. But if I added the mask in, oops, I'm going to go up here. In she pops, and now we can edit on this and change colors again. Okay, we haven't done a lot, but again, it's just a basic introduction. Okay, and it's going to take you guys, it's going to take me a long time. I'm just scratching the surface of it myself. But that's the nice thing about this. As a group, we'll learn together and we'll help each other. Okay, we will teach each other how to do this. Now, could I go in and use the Nik filters like I always do? You bet. Okay, we could go in. But everything that's in the Nik filters is actually in here. But, you know, we'll touch on this just real quick. And I could go in here like this bluish style of pilings here. I would desaturate this. See the change there? I would add a bit of structure to that. Okay, so these are the things. See the before and after? And then I would put, you know, an anchor point up here because it's big enough that it's affecting the entire image. But say we wanted to do just a plant, we'll select this guy. Now there are ways to do this also inside of Clear, but see, I will add red. We're going to make this yellow. I will add green, and I will take away blue. See, I'm going to create a yellow, and then I'll adjust the hue of the yellow by adjusting the green. And maybe drop the saturation a wee bit so that it's not quite so in our face. Okay. All right. And it's just that easy. So we go from the pinkish bush to a yellowish bush. Okay. Now it affected other areas around it, but we would have put control points there. Okay. Anchor points to stop that. All right. So that's some of the things that we can do. as you saw, there is a lot there. Let me quit Photoshop. But one last thing for you guys. Okay, in that directory, I have profile creation steps. Okay, everything to create your DNG profile is shown here in steps 1 through 6. Okay, actually it's 1 through 7 with screenshots and showing what you adjust, what you do. Okay. And then we also have in this LUT files, those swap files that I showed you, the channel swap, these are generated with these guys, those swaps. And on our next Hangout, I will show you how to do these. And these are provided by Clear, but we can build our own custom swap files as well. LUT means lookup table, and we can build these right in ACR.
Oh.
Okay, easy to do. But that is something for another Hangout, probably next weekend, I think. Okay, but
Okay.
download that directory. Let me close Bridge. Let's stop the screen sharing. Bring me back up. Do you have any questions? I mean, I know this is a lot.
Yes, sir. It's a lot, but it is. I can go back and look at it again, correct?
Yes. I will let this video crunch on YouTube tonight, and then I will post a link to the video. I'm not going to make this video public.
Okay.
It's just for our group right now.
Okay.
All right. And then also each of those steps for that DNG profile.
Yes, sir.
We're in those files, and the software, the DNG profile creator, is also in that directory. It's
I downloaded the Adobe DNG.
Yep.
And I run it through that, and I was having problems with still the picture, so I called Pat back at Clory.
Yeah.
He said, Wayne, I'm sorry, I should have sent you 2 links. You need the editor too.
Yes.
So he sent that to me, and I went through that, but it will not let me export it.
All right. If it won't let you export it, you can only save it.
Okay.
Can you save it to your desktop?
I'm sure I can.
All right. In the supporting documents directory in that download, there's a page there that shows you where to manually move it to.
Okay.
All right. But the next time you go to do it, if you still have problems, let me know, and we'll get together and we'll do it live like this together.
Okay. Yep.
All right.
Jimmy taught me how to screen share and all that stuff. So
okay. So we will do that. Okay. But like I said, this is an introduction mainly about creating the DNG profile. As you saw, it's really easy. It's just 3 things you have to do, you know? It's way easier than it used to be.
I never have created a profile, I don't reckon, per se.
Yeah, well, we've got to do that first. And now we also need to do a profile for every infrared filter you put on that camera.
We're going to do that on the new camera.
Okay. All right. Well, when are you going to order that?
I need one more charter. I told Jimmy today because all my charter money goes to my addiction for cameras.
Well, I admire that. All right. Let me stop the broadcast here.